Before sunrise, the headquarters hums with restrained urgency. Screens glow, coffee steams, assistants whisper about investors arriving within hours. An older man in maintenance clothes moves calmly across the executive floor, changing a faulty bulb, straightening chairs, absorbing every detail without comment. Near the elevators, a confident intern complains loudly about invisible workers blocking progress. A few colleagues chuckle, eager to align. The man pauses briefly, hands still, eyes steady. No one recognizes him. No one remembers that the land, the walls, the power lines were secured decades earlier by his signature. The intern snaps again, demanding faster cleaning before guests arrive. The man nods once and continues. Upstairs, a printed agenda is placed on polished wood. At the top sits a name the intern has never studied, yet carefully. The narrative turns back to the months before his return. After years leading companies through crises and triumphs, he recognized a pattern that never changed. People behaved well only when titles watched them. True character appeared in corners where authority seemed absent. He stepped away from public leadership to observe without being greeted, flattered, or feared. Silence became a tool that revealed sincerity more clearly than any audit. He returned in plain clothes for one purpose. He wanted to see how his company breathed when no spotlight touched it. A disguised presence exposed habits reports never captured. The distance protected him from bias and allowed space for truth to rise naturally. What others viewed as a humble task was a lens through which he studied the culture he shaped carefully. Morning briefings energized him more than the tasks on his screen. Each room became a stage where he raised his voice to appear decisive. He interrupted discussions to promote quick ideas, gaining cautious looks from supervisors. When work slowed, he targeted support staff with jokes meant to signal superiority. Beneath his polished tone lived a fear of being ordinary, pushing him toward rushed decisions. He trimmed procedures whenever attention drifted, believing shortcuts proved brilliance. He assumed influence came from standing near power rather than earning trust. Across the corridor, the founder watched every choice silently, noting how the young man confused noise with substance. Small lapses accumulated, revealing a widening distance between competence and the image he projected. Each moment strengthened the founder's quiet certainty about what would unfold next. Inside the strategy meeting, tension rises the moment the intern waves the older man aside. He claims the room needs focused minds, not background noise. Chairs shift, papers rustle, yet no one questions him. The founder, still in plain clothes, stands near the door collecting cups while observing every reaction. The intern continues his presentation, ignoring the man he pushed out. Executives glance at one another, but remain silent. Minutes pass, and the discomfort thickens. A senior manager lowers her eyes when the man returns to adjust a projector cable. HR watches, but does nothing. Leadership stays frozen, afraid of appearing sensitive. The founder notes each hesitation, realizing the culture he once protected has thinned. The room has failed the test he hoped it would pass on this quiet morning. He steps into the boardroom with the same quiet posture he carried through the halls. A few executives stand, uncertain whether they should greet him or wait for instruction. The intern freezes first, recognizing nothing except authority shifting without a sound. The chairman invites him to sit, unaware that the man in front of him owns the ground beneath the headquarters. He remains standing and states his name with steady clarity. Confusion spreads across polished faces as recognition replaces assumption. He asks how a culture built on respect descended into fear of speaking up. No one answers. Papers remain untouched, eyes fixed on the table. His tone never rises. The room understands the message without explanation. Failure has already been measured by the silence they chose to protect this morning. The response to the incident unfolds without announcements or dramatic statements. Over the following days, the intern receives a short meeting invitation and leaves the building with a single box, confused rather than defiant. His departure is noted only by security. Executives undergo private reviews that examine decisions, missed interventions, and patterns of silence. Some lose responsibilities, Others are reassigned to departments requiring closer oversight. No one is shamed publicly, yet everyone feels the shift. The founder meets with leadership and explains that arrogance is not an error of youth, but a risk that spreads when left unchecked. His tone remains steady as he outlines expectations for rebuilding trust. The consequences leave a deeper mark than any public confrontation. It signals a new standard that demands courage from every leader. Years later, he appears in a modest office lobby, carrying a laptop bag instead of commanding attention. His new position is stable but far from the trajectory he once imagined. Colleagues greet him politely, sensing a measured calm that replaced his youthful performance. He spends lunch breaks listening rather than competing for visibility. During a training session, he encounters a support worker adjusting equipment and offers help without hesitation. The moment surprises him more than anyone else. He realizes how easily respect could have guided him years earlier. A quiet reflection settles each evening as he leaves work. He now understands that real influence grows from character, not proximity to titles. The lesson reshaped him slowly, without bitterness, as time revealed what ambition alone never taught. He steps away from daily operations with the serenity of someone who has completed a necessary cycle. His final weeks are spent meeting teams, revising policies, and placing people of integrity in roles that influence culture more than strategy. Respect becomes a requirement, not a slogan on a wall. Departments begin to slow down enough to listen again. Younger employees notice that quiet leadership carries more authority than displays of certainty. When he addresses the company one last time, his tone is steady rather than sentimental. He reminds them that strength often reveals itself in how they treat those with no visible power. As he leaves the building openly, the lesson settles across every floor. Experience does not shout. It simply waits for truth to surface.